Welcome, leaders and innovators. I'm thrilled to guide you through the foundational concepts of generative AI. Today, we aren't just discussing technology, we are mapping out how you can drive unprecedented scalability, automation, and measurable business value. Let's get started. Welcome to our deep dive into the foundational concepts of generative AI. We are talking about a fundamental shift in how business operates. What is generative AI? While traditional AI was built to analyze data and make predictions, generative AI uses massive pre-trained models, large language models, or LLMs, to create entirely new content. We're talking text, code, images, and even audio. Why does this matter to you? Because it shifts our focus from merely understanding the past to actively generating solutions for the present. How does it work? It relies on a transformer architecture, understanding context and semantic relationships at a scale that allows it to reason over natural language. In this session, we will deep dive into how you can harness this capability, moving beyond the hype to identify exactly when and where these solutions provide tangible business value, specifically through scalability and automation. Think about the sheer volume of unstructured data your business generates. Generative AI taps into that data, making it actionable. Let's look at this visual breakdown to solidify the concept. On the screen, you see a direct comparison that highlights the evolution of artificial intelligence. On the top path, we have traditional AI. Its primary function is analyzing existing data to predict outcomes or classify information like a spam filter or a sales forecasting tool. It is highly valuable, but it is inherently reactive. Now, follow the bottom path. This is generative AI. Instead of just analyzing, it takes your natural language input and creates something entirely new. It takes the context you provide and generates text, images, or code that didn't exist a moment ago. This diagram is crucial because it illustrates the leap from understanding to creation. As a business leader, when you look at this flowchart, you should see the transition from merely tracking your business metrics to actively generating the communications, code, and strategies that drive your business forward. It is the engine of modern enterprise automation. Now that we understand the what, let's talk about the why. Identifying when generative AI provides business value is about recognizing its core drivers: speed, scale, productivity, and innovation. Why should you care? Because organizations embracing these tools are seeing significant ROI, sometimes up to $3.70 for every dollar invested. How does it deliver this? Generative AI doesn't just speed up individual tasks, it accelerates entire workflows. It takes a process that requires hours of manual research and drafting and condenses it into minutes. The deep dive here is understanding that AI value is not about replacing human expertise, but amplifying it. When you empower your subject matter experts with AI, you remove the repetitive grind. We identify value by looking for bottlenecks. Where are your highly paid experts doing low-value administrative work? That is where generative AI steps in to drive immediate, measurable business impact through enhanced productivity and operational efficiency. Let's explore the pillars of AI business value shown in this diagram. At the foundation, we have the generative AI engine. Notice how it branches into distinct, yet interconnected, value streams. First, productivity. This is your day-to-day efficiency, drafting emails or summarizing meetings. Second, speed and scale, the ability to process thousands of documents or localize content globally in seconds. Third, innovation, freeing up your human capital to focus on creative problem-solving and strategic growth. All these nodes converge on one ultimate goal at the bottom: measurable business ROI. When you are evaluating an AI use case in your organization, map it against this diagram. If the proposed solution doesn't clearly feed into at least one of these pillars, it is likely not the right fit for your strategic goals. You must anchor your AI investments to tangible business objectives. Building on our value proposition, let's look at how this comes to life through automation. Generative AI moves beyond simple chatbots to intelligent agents. What are AI agents? They are task-oriented entities that autonomously perform actions and orchestrate workflows across your systems. Why is this revolutionary? Because it fundamentally changes how work gets done. Instead of a human opening 5 different applications to resolve a customer issue, an AI agent can retrieve the data, analyze the sentiment, draft the response, and update the CRM automatically. How do we identify these opportunities? Look for tasks that are highly repetitive but require a degree of cognitive processing, like invoice processing, contract review, or Tier 1 IT help desk support. The deep dive here is the transition from assistance to orchestration. We are moving from co-pilots that help you write to agents that execute entire workflows on your behalf, governed by the guardrails you set. This sequence diagram illustrates the anatomy of an automated, agentic workflow. It starts on the left with a user request. In a traditional setup, a human would manually process this. Here, the AI agent sits at the center. Follow the arrows. The agent first reaches into your enterprise database to retrieve context. It then sends that data to the LLM engine to analyze the intent and formulate a plan. The LLM sends the logic back to the agent, which then executes an action like updating your CRM or ERP system and finally issues a resolved response to the user. This loop happens in seconds. By visualizing this, you can see how automation isn't just about generating text, it's about seamlessly connecting systems. When you identify business processes that follow this exact pattern of receive, retrieve, analyze, and act, you have found your prime candidates for generative AI automation. Automation naturally leads us to our next critical concept, scalability. What does scalability mean in the context of generative AI? It means breaking the traditional business rule where increasing output requires a linear increase in human capital and cost. Why is this a game changer? Imagine you need to launch a product in 20 different global markets. Traditionally, this takes weeks of translation, localization, and manual content creation. With generative AI, you can generate localized, culturally nuanced content for all 20 markets in minutes. How do we achieve this? By leveraging scalable cloud infrastructure like Azure, which dynamically adjusts compute power based on your real-time needs. However, a deep dive into scalability reveals a hidden trap: cost drivers. Because advanced models often use token-based, pay-as-you-go billing, scaling without governance can break your budget. True business value is achieved when you scale operations exponentially while keeping your cost curves predictable and flat. Let's contrast two growth models using this flowchart. At the top, market demand increases. If you follow the traditional scaling path on the left, you hire more staff to meet the demand. The result is a linear increase in output, but a correspondingly high, linear increase in cost. It is difficult to sustain. Now look at the right path, Gen AI scaling. By deploying cloud AI platforms, you achieve exponential output. A single AI agent can handle 10 queries or 10,000 queries with the same foundational logic. The bottom node highlights the ultimate goal: predictable and controlled cost. Scalability with AI is not just about doing things faster. It is about decoupling your growth potential from your operational expenses. When you identify business areas constrained by human bandwidth, those are the exact areas where AI scalability provides massive financial value. We know AI is powerful, but how do you actually identify when it will provide value? You must be strategic. What should you look for? We categorize the best opportunities into 3 buckets: document-heavy, data-heavy, and meeting-heavy processes. Why this approach? Because AI delivers the greatest impact where complexity and repetition slow progress. If you just sprinkle AI everywhere, you end up in pilot purgatory with no ROI. How do you evaluate them? You use a strict criteria. What is the business impact? Do we have the data feasibility? How fast is the time to value? And what are the risks? For a deep dive, you should treat AI use cases like a financial portfolio. Rank them using a scoring matrix. Prioritize the high-impact, low-risk, quick wins to build organizational momentum before tackling massive, complex transformations. Don't adopt AI for the sake of AI. Adopt it to solve specific, measurable business pain points. This decision tree is your practical guide for identifying AI opportunities. Start at the top, analyze the workflow. The first major filter is asking, is this process document, data, or meeting heavy? If no, deprioritize it for now. If yes, move to the next critical gate. Is the data feasible and secure? If your data is messy or siloed, you must fix your data strategy first. AI cannot fix bad data. But if you have secure, accessible data, you have reached the green node, a high-value AI use case. From there, you move to launching a tightly scoped pilot and measuring the ROI. I encourage you to take a screenshot of this mental model. Take it back to your department heads and use it to rigorously filter every AI pitch that comes across your desk. It ensures you only invest in automation that scales. Once you identify a high-value process, you face an execution decision: build versus buy. What does this mean? It is the choice between adopting a ready-to-use SaaS solution like Microsoft 365 Copilot or building a custom application using a PaaS solution like Azure AI. Why is this critical? It dictates your speed to market, your level of control, and your cost structure. How do you decide? If you need to automate standard tasks like summarizing emails, drafting presentations, or analyzing standard spreadsheets. You buy. Copilot gives you rapid time to value with predictable subscription costs. But if you are handling highly specialized, proprietary data or building a customer-facing application with strict compliance needs, you build using Azure AI. The deep dive here is financial and operational. Building custom gives you total control over the foundational models and orchestration, but it introduces token-based, pay-as-you-go billing that requires rigorous cost monitoring. Let's walk through this execution strategy diagram. It is a simple but powerful fork in the road. You start with your AI execution strategy. Ask the question, does this use case involve unique intellectual property, highly specialized domain knowledge, or complex integrations? If the answer is no, if it's a standard business productivity issue, take the top path, buy. You deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot. This leads directly to predictable costs and fast ROI. If the answer is yes, say, building a specialized legal contract analyzer, you take the bottom path, build. You leverage Azure AI and Foundry tools. This path gives you the high control and custom automation required for specialized scalability. Choosing the wrong path here is the #1 reason organizations either overspend on custom development or get frustrated by the limitations of out-of-the-box tools. You cannot automate and scale your business if you cannot trust the outputs. This brings us to grounding and retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. What is this? It is the mechanism that connects generative AI to your specific, authoritative enterprise data. Why is this non-negotiable? Because left to their own devices, LLMs can confidently invent facts, a phenomenon known as hallucination or fabrication. In a business setting, an AI inventing a company policy or a financial figure is a massive compliance risk. How does RAG fix this? When a user asks a question, the system first retrieves the exact documents from your secure database. It then augments the prompt with these facts before sending it to the LLM. The deep dive concept here is profound. With RAG, you stop treating the AI model as an encyclopedia. Instead, you treat it as a reasoning engine. You supply the facts. The AI simply reads, summarizes, and communicates them accurately. This is how you secure enterprise trust. This flowchart demystifies the RAG architecture: retrieval augmented generation. Follow the flow from top to bottom. It starts with the user prompt. Instead of going straight to the AI brain, it intercepts the prompt and performs a search of your enterprise data. Next, it retrieves the trusted documents, your actual policies, PDFs, or database records. The crucial step is next. It sends both the original prompt and the trusted documents to the LLM. Now, look at the penultimate node. The LLM reasons over trusted data. It is constrained. It is not guessing, it is reading what you gave it. The final result is an accurate, grounded response. When stakeholders ask you how you can guarantee the AI won't say something crazy to a customer, you point to this diagram. RAG is the technological safety net that makes AI automation safe for the enterprise. Let's tie all these foundational concepts together with a real-world use case that is highly impactful: the autonomous customer support engine. Imagine a global telecom company drowning in customer support tickets across multiple languages. They need to scale, but hiring linearly isn't feasible. They choose to build a custom Azure AI agent. How does it work? When a customer submits a ticket, the AI agent instantly translates the text, analyzes the sentiment to see if the customer is frustrated, and then uses RAG to retrieve the exact troubleshooting steps from the internal knowledge base. The agent then generates a highly accurate, empathetic response in the customer's native language and logs the interaction in Dynamics 365. The business value: this implementation reduced resolution times by 40%, enabling 24/7 service without increasing headcount. This is the ultimate synthesis. We identified a data-heavy bottleneck, applied an automated agent, secured it with RAG, and achieved exponential scalability. This is how generative AI transforms a business. Let's trace the architecture of this real-world triumph on our final diagram. It begins with a global support ticket entering the system. The central Azure AI agent takes over, splitting into two simultaneous cognitive tasks. On the left, it performs translation and sentiment analysis to understand the user's emotional state. On the right, it uses RAG to retrieve the exact troubleshooting documentation from the company vault. These two streams merge to generate an empathetic, grounded response. The agent doesn't stop there. It moves to execute a system action, updating the CRM and closing the ticket. The final outcome at the bottom is the metric that matters to the board: 40% faster resolution and scaled ROI. This is the blueprint for modern business value. You have automated a complex task, scaled it globally, and maintained absolute control. Thank you for joining this masterclass. You are now equipped to lead AI transformation.